Russian President Vladimir Putin announcing his country has developed a new nuclear-capable weapon that includes an intercontinental ballistic missile that he says renders defense systems, quote, useless. Putin making those comments during his annual State of the Nation address, the Russian president telling lawmakers that the ICBM has a longer range than any other and can reach almost any target around the world. So, scary stuff.
Russian premier said the weapons include hypersonics that can penetrate any defense shields. He criticized the US for ignoring Russian objections to development of its missile defense program.
Over the last 15 years, there's been an arms race intensifying in the West, and I will tell the West that everything that you wanted to interfere with in the development of our country, all of these attempts have been a failure.
But Russia has been clear about their intent all along. Starting in 1999, Russia began incorporating simulated limited nuclear weapons used in large-scale exercises to de-escalate conflicts. The following year, in 2000, newly elected President Vladimir Putin signed a new military doctrine where the first time would allow for the use of nuclear weapons in response to large-scale aggression with conventional weapons in situations critical to the national security of the Russian Federation. That year, Russia increased its nuclear weapons budget 50%. This is 2000 now. And it began the Russian shift to the use of non-strategic nuclear weapons on the battlefield, which they continue to emphasize in their nuclear policy, strategy, and doctrine today.
The country is also testing underwater drones capable of carrying nuclear weapons. Putin used the annual address to lay out priorities for the fourth presidential term he's expected to win easily in the March 18th election.
In a public address to the Russian Federal Assembly, President Putin then announced sweeping modernization plans to its military, including nuclear forces through 2020. He said, I want to have the whole nuclear force 70% modernized by 2020. Publicly stated that the modernization of the strategic nuclear force was going faster than anticipated, and they intended to modernize 100% of their strategic nuclear forces rather than 70% as previously announced. Today, Russia continues to develop and field an expanding set of nuclear capabilities, including the SSC-8 ground-launched cruise missile system that violates the INF Treaty. It has completed more than 50% of its planned road mobile force upgrade, as in the process of replacing their nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines as well. Russia is modernizing their heavy bombers to launch the advanced KH-101 and 102 cruise missiles, recently used in the conventional variant of this weapon in support of combat operations in Syria.
President Vladimir Putin unveiled an array of new nuclear weapons on Thursday, in one of his most bellicose speeches in years, saying they could hit almost any point in the world and not be intercepted. Speaking weeks before an election he is expected to win, Putin also said that a nuclear attack on any of Moscow's allies would be regarded as an attack on Russia itself and draw an immediate response. We see increased opportunities with the armed forces, he said. We've done a lot to strengthen our army and navy, and they are equipped with modern weaponry. He showed the audience a video of how one of the prototype missiles would work, explaining that the new system would have no limitation on range. It can attack any target, through the North or South Pole. It is a powerful weapon and no missile defense system will be able to withstand, the president said, telling the audience that more was to come. Putin also said Russia had another weapon that was a small nuclear power energy system and nuclear warhead that can be deployed on a cruise missile system that can also, he claimed, avoid all interceptors. He said the country had tested this cruise missile with the nuclear power energy unit in 2017 and it was successful. Russia would start manufacturing this now, he added. This is unheard of and nobody else has such a system in the world. They might create something like this in the future, but by then our guys will have created something new as well. Putin joked that the two new strategic nuclear weapons he described, the global cruise missile and the subsurface unmanned vehicle, did not have names yet and lawmakers could submit their suggestions via the Defense Ministry website. Showman-like in the delivery of his address, Putin told the audience, but even this is not the end, unveiling a system capable of destroying intercontinental targets with hypersonic speed. I'm pleased to inform you that after certain experiments, we are sure that soon Russia's strategic missile forces will have a new system capable of destroying intercontinental targets with hypersonic speed and high precision, able to maneuver both in terms of its course and altitude. There are no systems like that in the world. He said Russia had been open about the development of such a system but that nobody listened to us, but listen to us now. Lawmakers gave Putin a standing ovation at that point. Speaking more generally about the new developments, he said Russia had adopted 300 new models of weaponry providing the armed forces with 18 new ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, 2 submarine-based ballistic missiles. He added that the country had commissioned 3 new nuclear submarines and also increased the number of its high-precision long-range missiles. He said Russia had developed new weapons as a response to the US withdrawal from the Anti-Ballistic Missile (ABM) Treaty in 2002. The treaty, signed between the US and then Soviet Union in 1972, barred the countries from deploying defenses against strategic ballistic missiles. Russia has complained repeatedly about the US placing anti-ballistic missile systems on its doorstep, as a result of what it called eastward NATO expansion, in the form of the global missile defense system in Romania and Poland. Putin said that if Russia had done nothing in response, its nuclear potential could have been undermined. Instead, Russia had responded by creating weapons that could bypass the US global missile defense system. After the US withdrew from the Anti-Ballistic Missile (ABM) treaty, we've been working hard to develop new promising weaponry systems, and this enabled us to make a big step forward creating new strategic arms. US global missile systems are mainly against ballistic missiles, and these are the core of our nuclear deterrent. This is why Russia has been developing extremely effective systems to defeat missile defense, and all our ICBMs are equipped with such systems now, he said. Putin insisted that Russia had no plans to attack anybody or to take anything away from anybody, saying we have everything we need. But he wanted the weapon development to act as a warning. I'm not bluffing, he said, adding that Russia was ready to defend herself. I hope all these things I have said will sober up any potential aggressor and any unfriendly steps taken towards Russia, like deploying missile defense systems and expanding NATO towards our borders. Militarily, this is no longer effective, and financially, this is no longer viable, and eventually, this is just nonsensical for the people who do this. Russia's growing military power is just a guarantee of peace on our planet, he insisted, and it would preserve the balance of powers in the world. Those who have been creating new arms races over the last 15 years, imposing unlawful sanctions on Russia to hold our country back, I would like to say, all the things you were trying to hold back have already happened. You were unable to hold Russia back. He also said Russia is developing new underwater drones that can carry nuclear warheads. These were described as unmanned, noiseless submarines that move at ultra-deep levels and at high speed. This is just fantastic, Putin said. There is no defense system that can cope with such subsurface vehicles that can be equipped with conventional or nuclear weapons, attacking coastal defenses and infrastructure facilities. These underwater drones were 100 times smaller than a conventional submarine, Putin noted. The State of the Union address is the last one that Putin will make before a president election on March 18th. Putin is expected to win the election comfortably and enter a 4th term of leadership.
As we look at the emerging threat, we have to not only look at it from a weapons perspective and a deterrence perspective, but part of that deterrence structure is knowing what your adversaries are doing, knowing what those threats are. And right now we have challenges on the sensor side with hypersonics in particular. We have challenges on the sensor side with a number of different of the new threats that our adversaries are going. So right now we're working with the Missile Defense Agency to look at a system called the Mid-Course Tracking System, MTS, that inherently has a capability to not only characterize a threat environment against the cold background of space, but if you look down at the Earth with those sensors, you can see those dim targets like hypersonics and other weapons. We need to be pursuing those sensor technologies, the characterization technologies, and then we have to pursue the nuclear command and control piece as well, as you talked about at the end. Now, one of the big challenges we have as we move forward in the future is that one of the only good things about our nuclear command and control posture right now, it is very cyber secure. because when you built it in the 50s, there was not a significant cyber threat to worry about. So as we go and we look at GBSD coming online and the new Columbia-class program, and we look at all those, we have to upgrade those. So we're spending a lot of detailed time now looking with our industry partners at what will it take to actually provide a cyber-secure nuclear command and control, national leadership command and control capability as we go forward in the future. We have time to work those issues right now. We have put programs together in the budget to recommend going after those. It certainly has the highest attention. It is Secretary Mattis's #1 focus point in my business is the nuclear command and control piece, and so we're going after that in a big way. Thank you for the question.